All right, guys, we're about ready to get started. If you're here for the Homes and Brews, just gather around real quick. So, Homes and Brews, essentially what it is, I started as a realtor about 3 years ago. I was working part-time, but in May I went full-time, and I was looking for something unique to kind of set myself apart, and I came up with this. I started at Queen City Brewery in Blue Ash. I've done about 5 of those there. And essentially it's just a free workshop. We talk about different real estate topics once a month, once or twice a month. And then we raise money for a local nonprofit or charity. We worked with 7 different local causes last year. We raised about a little over $1,700 in that time. We went to QCB and Wiedemann's down in St. Bernard. I teamed up with Narrow Path a few months ago. They were game for it right away. So it's basically a support local type of movement, you know what I mean? Support local businesses in the breweries and the real estate, as well as the local causes and nonprofits. So that's what we're doing here tonight. The topic, well, first off, I'll say the charity or nonprofit we're doing tonight is the Willa A. Washington Hazelwood Community College Scholarship. And we did them. They were the first ones we did last year when we started this. I think we raised like $200 for them in one event. Hazelwood is a neighborhood in Blue Ash. That's the neighborhood I live in. I started going to the community meetings and I met some of the elders in the neighborhood. And this is an organization where they give away a scholarship to a 2.5 or better grade point average student that lives in Hazelwood. And it's for Raymond Walters College, UC Raymond Walters there in Blue Ash. If there's nobody in Hazelwood going to Raymond Walters, and they give it to a different Sycamore student. So it's once a year. They do like a car show. They do a big picnic in the by the center, and then they do like a walkathon to raise money for this all year long. So
right off of Cornell?
It's right off Cornell. You know where Skyline is on Cornell? Yeah. It's right behind there, or behind Matthew Ministries. Yeah, it's like in that corner. Yeah. So it's about 15 or 20 streets. It's maybe 200 or 300 houses back here. So that's what we're raising money for tonight. Unfortunately, no one from the scholarship program could be here, so they just told me to kind of tell you what it's about. So the topic tonight is what to expect in a hot market. I kind of put like Loveland because this area is very hot right now. Cincinnati in general is a hot market. And does anybody have any idea what the average days on market is for a house right now? Or average in maybe 2018. What is it? What do you think?
For 2018?
For 2018, yeah.
5 days.
5 days?
30 days, actually. 54 days. Closer to
33 days.
Depends on what market you're in.
It absolutely does. Now, the median days on market, which is different than the average. So you're talking about the houses that are the median price range. Those are 10 days on market. And the reason, I know you probably hear about houses, I know you hear about houses all the time that go in like 24 hours or less, or less than a day, is because they're taking all of them. So when you have smaller houses or like rehab projects or houses worth $500,000, $1 million plus, those tend to stay on the market a little bit longer, and they pull that average from all of them. So that's what brings those averages up. But if you're looking in the average price range right now, and you have a decent house that's ready to go, it goes quick. I mean, I've sold them in less than 24 hours myself, and I have clients here that have been out with me. We've gone on the very first day that a house is listed, and there's 30 cars parked outside. It's like a party in the house for the very first day. And then you get in multiple offer situations, and it can get crazy. So the average home price in Cincinnati, this is from the CABR, the Cincinnati Area Board of Realtors, December press release, was $209,000. So if you vary a little bit from that number, up or down 20,000 or so, especially down, it goes a little bit further, but those are the houses that are going quick. If they're in good shape and they're priced properly, they're going to be gone. So, Loveland market, average days on the market here in 2018 was 5 days, and the median days on market is 3 days. So, if you're looking for a house in Loveland, you better prepare yourself and know exactly what you want and get a showing scheduled as soon as possible. Yes, that's actually my very first point. So let's see. as a buyer, I'm going to do the buyer and the seller. The seller is very short in a hot market. But for the buyer, my first thing is get pre-qualified. Talk to your loan officer or your finance company. Find out, how much you can afford. That's very important. And then start looking. Once you know and you're confident and you know what you want, get a client portal set up with your realtor. If you don't have a realtor, I'll help you out. I'm good. And we'll start looking. We'll go. If you see something that pops up and it's the first day on the market, you got to be ready to say, hey, I want to look at this today or tomorrow. You know what I mean? That's your best chance to get into one of these houses and have a shot at getting a contract on it. You want to like limit yourself in terms of knowing both the lower limit and the upper limit, because the worst thing that can happen, you're moving fast, and in a lot of times if these houses are good to go, you're going to get in what's called a multiple offer situation. This is where you got 5 people that turned in an offer. The agent's going to say, look, they'll send an email out to all the other agents. They'll say, hey, look, we've got multiple offers on this house. If you could have your client send us their highest and best offer by like a certain time tomorrow or something like that. So you go back and you start thinking about, what do I want to offer on this house? And that's where it can get tricky. And I say know your limits, because it just depends on the house. If you're in love with it, some people will go over their limits. You know what I mean? But it's always good to kind of have an idea of what you're willing to spend. And that could be based on the payment or whatever. You got to consider taxes, insurance, PMI, maybe an HOA fee or something like that. But you got to know what you're willing to pay on a monthly basis and kind of run those numbers.
So Matt, there is multiple offers. Is there always that second level of price pricing, or is it stop right there?
Typically, if there's a multiple offers, if maybe there's one that's just outrageous. Let's say if the house is selling for $200,000 and someone offers $220,000, okay, maybe the realtor or the seller will be like, we'll just take that one. They don't want to play with it. That's a good offer. That's way more than they thought they were getting. But if they're all kind of around the same area, if I'm listing a home and I get more than one offer, I'm going into multiples every time, because I know they're coming with their A game on that second one. You know what I mean? Sure. And that's an ideal situation for any seller.
They would open up to a second level.
Yeah, I say, look, we're wiping the slate clean at this point. I need you to send me a brand new offer of your highest and best. Okay. And then once we have all those together at that time limit, we'll put them all on the table. We'll have the seller check them out, and they'll pick which one they want. And I'll call you back, and then I email the rest of them and say, hey, sorry, you didn't win. You didn't win the contract. No, it's fine, man. If anybody has questions, obviously, just ask me at any point. But yeah, that's why you want to know your limits. Now, when you know your limits, let's say you're the only contract going out. You want to try to get the best deal you can. So you're going to come in with maybe a smaller offer than what's up there. But you have to be ready, before you even place that one, you got to be ready to negotiate with the seller. So just kind of keep it in the back of your head. This is as high as we're going if we start going back and forth. I've had them go back and forth 8 or 9 times. You know what I mean? Like, we'll offer maybe 190 or something, and then they'll say, no, we want 220. It's like, well, we'll do 195. It can bounce back and forth, and there's negotiable terms in a contract that can make the offer more attractive. Things like the amount of seller paid closing costs. In general, or typically in all the contracts I write, I ask for 3%. 3% of the purchase price in seller paid closing costs to help out the buyer. That's one that gets changed pretty quickly, especially in a highest and best. You drop that down some. The other one is you ask for home warranties, buyer's title insurance, things like that. There's things that can cost the buyer or the seller that you kind of reduce or completely take off the table to make your offer, the most attractive. So, and in highest and best, you got to just come with really your highest and best. I have clients in here that, we've done one, and sometimes we'll say, what's your highest and best? And that was our highest and best. I just turned the same offer back in, you know what I mean? But the biggest problem that I find with most of my clients is they're gone before we even get to look at them. You know that. There's been 5 or 6 in the last 2 weeks. It's like, you send me a text and you say, hey, let's look at this one. I look it up, it's gone already. You know what I mean? So you have to be aggressive. You have to be ready to go. Let's see for the multiple offers. Another thing that you can do is, and I think you guys did this as well, is say you want the house as is. That looks attractive to a seller. You say, look, you're not going to have to make any repairs to this house if you accept my offer. That doesn't mean you're not going to have an inspection. It means the inspection's going to come in. Let's say they find some stuff. It's for your peace of mind, essentially, the inspection. So now if there's something like they find something terribly wrong with the foundation or something like that, it gives you the ability to walk away and say, hey, I'm not interested anymore. But that buyer or that seller will know that if everything's pretty good, if the house is in decent shape, they're not going to have to pay for any kind of repairs once they accept the contract. So that looks good too. And that's really it. Overall, you know, I think as a buyer in a hot market like this, you have to make sure that you stay in your comfort zone. You need to know before you go in, you know, what your top amount is, and you have to bid accordingly. You know what I mean? Some people stretch themselves. I've seen it, and that's fine if that's what you want. The thing I tell people when we're in highest and best is I say, how upset will you be if you don't win this house? You know what I mean? I want you to bid according to that feeling. Because some people, I'll look at 100 houses with people, and you can tell on that last one that a light switch goes off. They're like, this is it. Like, this is our house. Like, we're going to live in this house. And they're going to go hard when they start, you know, putting bids out. But if you're not at that point, just know what your limits are. You know what I mean? And then last, the seller. If you're selling in a hot market, you're very lucky because you've got all these people fighting over your house. Really, the only thing you have to do is prepare your home. And that means fix any issues. Just imagine if you were a buyer walking through, you kind of look at your house, if there's any kind of things that are off or unfinished projects. I know we have a couple of those around our house. You want to kind of wrap those up or maybe add some new paint or change out some old carpet, things like that. Clean and tidy the house up. You know, don't have a bunch of family pictures everywhere or tchotchkes on all the shelves and things like that. Just make it feel like someone can imagine themselves living in there when they walk through. You know what I mean? You want them to be attracted to that house as if it's theirs the minute they walk in the door. Yeah, move in ready. And honestly, look, the quote from the president of Cincinnati Area Board of Realtors, I wrote this on here. She said, 2019 looks to be a great year for home sales. If your home is move-in ready, condition, and priced reasonably in today's market, there's a great opportunity for it to sell quickly. And that's just across the board. I mean, it goes according to neighborhood. Obviously, different neighborhoods are more desirable neighborhoods, but if you're priced right for your neighborhood, it's going to go. That's just the way it is. So as a seller, just get yourself prepped and, you know, hope that you get into a multiple offer situation, you know? And that's it, really. So that's it for you guys. I'm going to do the split the pot here probably, I don't know, like a half hour. Yeah, just spend some money, man. This is all about supporting local. You got the local brewery. You got the local business. I got business cards over here. We're doing a silent auction for this picture here of the Roebling Bridge back in 1907. It's starting at $80. If that's something you're interested in, just write your name down over there for the bid, and I'll pull it here in a little bit. But I appreciate you coming, man. You guys have a good night. I'm doing another one on the 20th at Queen City Brewery in Blue Ash. And actually, my wife will be talking. It's called Tales from an Airbnb Host. So, and it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, man. So we've had an Airbnb for about 18 months now, and yeah, we've got some pretty good stories to tell you about. I mean, it's a good business, but it's definitely not all you think about if you've ever stayed at Airbnbs. You know what I mean? She'll let you know how it goes. So again, thank you for coming. Drink a bunch of beers, network, say hi to each other. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.